Ellison from Hudson Valley Bookkeeping. Today I'm going to teach you how to start a brand new QuickBooks Desktop file in QuickBooks version 2022. All right, let's get started. Okay guys, so I've downloaded, I've installed, I've started the installation, I've entered my license number and my product number. And then you get to this window right here. This is really important, especially if you're like me. If you look on my screen here, I have all kinds of QuickBooks versions. I have 17, 19, 2020. Okay, so there could be a reason that you want to leave an old file in that version. I've learned from experience, don't choose Express, even though they recommend it. They don't know everything. Use custom. Click next. And depending on where you're at, I'm sure if you're a one-person landlord, you're putting it on your desktop. I will also put in the show notes. I recommend landlords to put their QuickBooks Desktop up in Right Networks. It's RIGHT Networks, NETWORKS.com. I don't get any money for recommending them, but they're great for hosting QuickBooks Desktop. So, but we're going to say we're going to leave it on this computer. And this is fine. It's making a folder, QuickBooks 2022 in program files. That's fine. Okay, and I will come back when this is done installing. Okay, so that takes just a little bit of time to do, and now it says my installation is complete. So I'll hit close. To complete your installation, you must reboot. Okay, so we'll say yes, and then I'll come back on. Okay, so here is the new downloaded QuickBooks Desktop. Mine will say Premier Accountant Edition because that's the one I buy every year. It just has a couple extra things that yours, QuickBooks Desktop Pro wouldn't, but nothing huge. So you have to give it a minute. You look like maybe you should have started clicking it again. Don't. With desktop, you need to let it load. So you just have to have a little patience. Otherwise, you could really jam it up. Okay, so it's going to ask you to activate. We are going to create a new company. I want to just see something. I can toggle, and I'm going to. Now look, there are different editions. If you were a contractor, you're in manufacturing, nonprofit, professional, retail. But I'm just going to choose QuickBooks Pro because that's what you would be doing. So this way, I'm switching over to, it should look exactly like what it would look like for you. Okay, so it's asking who are we creating the file for? This is if you were upgrading a different file, you'd pick here, open existing file. Click Start Setup. So it is frustrating with desktop that there's a lot of spinning. Okay, so I'm going to pause this and put in my password, and I'll be back. Okay, so there was a piece there that you would maybe create an account in QuickBooks. Now they make you create this account now because they don't want you giving your license and product number to other people. So I didn't show you that piece because I don't want people to see my login and password. But you would, if you don't have a QuickBooks account, that's where you would have set one up. And then every once in a while, when you log in, you'll actually have to log into your QuickBooks account. Okay, and it's just where it holds your license for QuickBooks. Okay, so you put in your LLC name. Hopefully you have an LLC for your property, or maybe a partnership. You would fill this in. I'm not going to fill it in. Okay, so it stopped spinning. So I'm going up to list, chart of accounts. And one of the first things I do, go to preferences, accounting. I like to use numbers. You would want to use class tracking if you have more than one building, or you're tracking specific units. Okay. So I would say this, prompt to assign classes, and I can go over that briefly. Okay, so what this does, which is just so much better, is it kind of organizes your expenses, right? So we said real estate company because they don't have a landlord one to pick, but you have commission income, which you're probably not going to have. What you would probably have is rental income. So I right-click that, which brought up this box. And let's change it from commission to rental income. Okay. And then it has basically your main things you would do. Utilities. Does it have property taxes? I don't think so. So as you start posting your year, you could see here, I clicked account. Now I'm going to click new. Wait, one thing I would say though is you want to pick a number for your taxes. I'm just trying to think where I want to put it. You're not really going to have continuing education usually for a landlord, so I'm going to do it there. But let me explain something. Here you can have property taxes, and then you could have school tax, town and county, right? So this is a 6-digit, 3 or 5-digit. So how it works is it's really not that complicated, but you could make a sub account of property taxes. So we could do 62 and then 100. So we go new, expense, click continue, sub account, type in 62, brings it up. And this one could be 62100. Right here, you could say town and county. And then do one more, click sub account, 62, 200, school tax. These are the things landlords care about. Okay, now here's another thing. Why is it, where's your income? Okay, right here we have rental income. I truly think that in rental income, you should track your units. You can use classes too, but rental income. So it starts 62,400, 42,400. Just turn my phone off. And I really disagree with this number, so I'm going to change it to 4,000, or just all zeros. So, okay, because this will give us a lot to play with. So let's say first you have a building 1. So a lot of times, sometimes people have like 2 buildings on one piece of property. So you go continue, sub account. We know we made it the 4,000. So we'll go 40100. building 1. Save in new. Type in the 40200, building 2. Okay. Now let's say there's 2 units in each one. There could really be a lot more. But so we know, let me just write this down. 40100 is your number 1. Okay. So you go again. You could do Control N as well. Income. Really like the numbers because it keeps things organized. Okay, so now you would say sub account of building 1, and we've got to keep with the 401 and then do some digits. So I'll do 40125, unit 1, building 1, income. I always like to label expense or income if things are kind of similar. Save and new. 401. Now I'm in building 1. So I'll do 40150, building 1, unit 2, income. Okay. Oh, look, so I go here, edit. I wrote those backward. Making a mess of things. I think this is how I did it. I get picky. Okay, looks fine. So again, I'll show you in a minute if you were to make an item, how you would link it to this, because I want you to be able to run a rent roll in your QuickBooks. Rent roll is just explaining how much money you're making per unit per month. I'm sure you have a spreadsheet that shows how much you should make. Every one of my landlords always comes to me with a spreadsheet, but especially if you're posting cash basis, this will show you what you really got paid versus how much you should get paid. Okay. So I'm going to make 2 more units for building 2. And I have to have it start with a 402 and then I'll go 25. Count new 402, 40225. So this is building 2. So it's unit 1, building 2, income. Save and new. Always pick your sub account first, 402. So I see I have 40225. So you could write these out ahead of time. So I just go up in denominations of 25. So I'm going to go 40250. And I didn't make it a sub account of the one I made. I'm still kind of doing that parent account. Unit 2, building 2, rental income. Oh, maybe I just said income. Okay. So I'll show you more of that in a little bit. Okay, so now let's learn how to create a tenant. You know, in QuickBooks Online, you can change the name so it doesn't say customers, it says tenant, but you can't here. Okay, so click Customer Center. New customer. So I actually like to make my building first, just for kind of jobs and certain things. I don't know. So building 1 is the customer. You can do this a couple ways. This may be a little too confusing. And then I can add a job. Oh, should I make it this complicated for this one? I'm not going to. That's like the hard way. Let's just do Bob Smith, unit 1, building 1. Okay. And here you could put in their name, their email, and so forth. Okay. And then Sally Pringle, unit 2, building 1. Okay, so now we've got Bob Smith, unit 1, building 1. I'm just right clicking. I think it looks better if you type that out. So, okay, so those are our 2 units for building 1. So there's a lot of setup in the beginning. The other thing I do sometimes is I put in their lease expiration in their name. Okay. And then you can arrange them kind of, I think, however you want. Maybe. Trying to move Sally below Bob. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so now you have your customers, but there's one other thing you would need to do in order to invoice them is you would need to make your items. And I'll show you why the items are important in a minute. So you've created a chart of accounts, you've created your customers, and now you need to make your items. Items are used on invoices, and items are what we're going to connect to our rental codes, okay? Accounts. So go up here to list, click item list. We have nothing. So we'll do our first one. Service is fine. U1 building 1, unit 1 building 1, and then you're going to click it to U1 building 1. Okay. And you can put your preset rent. Let's say it's $1,500. And you can also make a description, monthly rent, U1, B1. Put whatever you want. So you say, okay. And what's happening is this will lead you down the right road of building the correct foundation. You need to track your rent by unit from the start. Unit 2, building 2. I link it to unit 2 building, unit 2 building 1. Unit 2. Could even say which, like how many bedrooms it is, whatever you want. Let me click next. Oh, good, I can make another one. So unit 1, building 2. Next. Unit 2, I think some of them I did U2, B2. Okay. So I'm gonna click here. Okay. Perfect. That drives me crazy. Okay. Okay, so you got unit 1, building 1, unit 1, building 2, unit 2. Okay. Now we'll go back to your customer. I clicked the customer up here. You don't have to look at it that wide. I forget how you. I'm hitting escape button. Escape is your escape and tab are what you want to learn to use as hotkeys. Customers up on the top. I've been using this program for over 20 years. It is almost exactly the same. The only reason most people need to, see, I clicked this little button here, made it the right way I want it. To upgrade is basically because you can't do bank feeds. if the version gets over maybe 2 or 3 years old, then QuickBooks shuts down your ability to import. So that's pretty much why. Okay, so right up here, if you're on the customer's name, tenant, and you click new transaction, you could make an invoice. So I'm going to pretend it's January 2022. I'm going to show you a couple of things. Okay, so we've got Bob. Here's where you can make a class. You need to do that too. Sorry, I forgot. You can do everything on the fly in this program. Class name, building 1. That's my subclass. Building 1, unit 1. Just in case there's other things you want to track, make your classes. Okay, so if you put the class up here at the top, it'll affect every line, I think. But I'm very nitpicky, and I would probably still put it down each time too. Okay. Item, those are the things we made. Unit 1, building 1. I'm matching my customer. One thing of rent. I'm trying to look at the due on receipt date. Let's go back to customer. Click edit. Payment settings. Payment terms. Due on receipt. Okay, got to do that for each one. Click window and go back to the thing you were making. Okay, up here, there's this thing called memorize, and this is what you want to do. You click memorize, Bob Smith, unit 1, building 1, automate. You've already done your first one, so we're going to say do it monthly. Next date, 2/1/22. There'd be let's say it's a 12-month lease. You'd have 11 months more, 11 more you needed to enter. Let's say you have it generate in QuickBooks every 3 days. It won't generate if you don't have QuickBooks on, so you'd have to close your QuickBooks and then reopen it. That works with memorized transactions. You have to be closing your QuickBooks each day and then opening it again. So I usually pick 3 days ahead. You can email these. So save and close. So this isn't really, this is 30 days in the future. That's fine. It's another thing. I cannot stand that beeping. It's one of the first things I turn off. Okay. Sally. We'll go again. Payment settings, you want to put everybody due on receipt because you're going to make your invoices for the first day of the month. Another way to make an invoice, Control-I. Since her name was highlighted, so building 1 is here, but I'm going to make another class, building 1, unit 2. I did it backwards then. Oh, because if I was running class, I'd want to see everything for the building. Okay, so I have an item, unit 2, building 1. I'm going to click memorize. I'm going to automate monthly 2/1/22. There are 11 months remaining to enter, 3 days ahead. Because you should be going into your QuickBooks and emailing your invoices out 3 to 5 days ahead. Try and get people to pay sooner. Save and close. I'm going to post it anyway. Warn me. Chain dough. I don't know why it takes me so long to find this each time. New transaction, invoice. So she's in building 2. So I'm going to add new. I'm going to make a parent class. Okay, but now I need to add a subclass for her unit. And I'll show you what this does either. So this is building 2, unit 1. Okay. Go to my item. I need building 2, unit 1, this one. And now look, I didn't make my rate in my item. I'll come up with it on the fly. And see how it carried down the class from up here down here. So I'm going to click memorize, automate. It named it off the customer, which is fine. Monthly, 2/1/22. This is a great thing to start now. We're almost to Thanksgiving in 2021. If you want to start a new QuickBooks file for 2022, you could do all of this ahead of time, starting now, and then you would be ready for a new year. Just use your Excel spreadsheets for this year's taxes. Then next year in 2023, your accountant will no longer want to kill you. Okay, save and close. So I have one last one. Okay, so I'm going to have to make this one building 2, unit 2. So subclass. Okay, before I save and close, I'm going to click memorize. Okay, so now we've invoiced for January 2022. Let me just show you how that shows up on a profit and loss. Profit and loss standard. It's got to be on accrual because we didn't get any payments yet. Do you see how the 2 units are showing up so you can see how much you're making per building? That's why we like to do that. The other thing is profit and loss by class. Isn't this great? I just think it's so nice. Because you could go up here. So now it's showing it down in the different levels against its own thing. But what if you didn't want to see that whole P&L and maybe you were only really concerned about one thing? You go over here to customize. And then you could filter. You could click class. Then you could say you only want to see building 1. Well, that didn't work. Oh yeah, building 1, only unit 1, only unit 2. So that's why you like the classes. The only other class I would add is the G&A. That means general and administrative, and it's all your regular overhead. Also where you put your auto and your gas and your car insurance. That doesn't have anything to do with pertaining to running the properties, maybe an office you're renting. Believe it or not, a lot of my landlords, even though they own a lot of things, sometimes expense the rent on an office. It might not be the type of properties that they handle. Okay, so let me show you something else. Let's make a bank account. So you're gonna go list, chart of accounts. Down here at the bottom, you're gonna go, by the way, I'm not gonna go into a million things, but you're gonna follow this the same way. I want you to put all expenses that have to do with the actual running of the property in the 5s. See how this says cost of goods? I consider anything that you're paying on that property up in the cost of goods, okay? You may pay commissions if you're renting office space, or a real estate agent leased out a house or an apartment for you. But I want you to keep everything in the 5s that has to do with the actual properties. You use the things in the 6s for the G&A and depreciation fine. Okay, so let's say you need to do insurance. Wait, let me go back and see what number they used. 50300. Make that 50. Main thing is build your chart of accounts and order the things you care about most that you're paying on your properties, because I just do digits of, like, see, I have a 9 here, so I have an 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 that I could start with. So I'm going to go 50100. New, other account type, cost of goods, 50100. We'll do utilities. Okay. Let's say you have to pay it on the buildings. So then utilities, properties. Right? Now you would just make another. Nope. Oh, I screwed up. It's really cost of goods. See, I went back, sub account 501. And maybe I need to do 50125 building 1. Maybe there's only 1 meter for that building. Maybe it's legal, but. And we're going to say building 2. I just need you to get the gist. Okay, so now these are what we call a sub of a parent. So you can make a whole bunch of these, and you could even, if you ran out, like let's say you had so many, you could go 50126, 50127, worst case, if you start running out of numbers, you just go from a 5-digit code to a 6-digit code. Like, see, I screwed this one up. See how I did that? It's just chronological. I should have made that 50. Okay, so see how pretty they are like that? That's what you want. Okay, so the point of this being up here is you need to know your operating costs, right? So even property taxes that I was saying, what I was thinking. See this? These should be up in the 5s because they're a cost of your building. So let's change that to 5200. I'll show you. Then I got to fix because you don't want, if this starts with a 52, these need to start with a 52. Okay, so I'm not going to keep going into it. You see how you would make, oh, but here's the problem that I did next. So it's good for you to see me make a mistake, because then what you can do is learn from it. I need to change all of this up to cost of goods. So if you have sub accounts, you can't fix it until you fix the parent account. So we're going to go up here now. I've got all 3 just out on their own. I'm going to click edit. And I'm going to go up here to the account type and go to cost of goods. Now I'm going to make all of these 2 cost of goods. And now I can go make them a sub. If you ever screw things up and then need to move the account type, you're going to have to unsub everything, get it all on this, because you can't make an expense a sub of a cost of goods. Okay. So you see how to make expense codes. Just think about it. Anything that has to do with your buildings or your properties, I want you to put up in cost of goods in the 5s. Cost of goods are always in the 5s. Assets are always 1s. Liabilities are in the 2s. Your members' equity, 3s. 4 is incomes. 5 is cost of goods. 6 is overhead. All right, so that's how you're going to follow your chart of accounts. Okay, let's get a bank account. So down here, account, new, click bank, continue. I need a number. I think that. Okay. So we've got Chase checking. Here it says accounts receivable 7,800. That's all that money that we billed. Okay. We're going to go and receive our rents. So look, because this is this fiscal year and I'm recording this in 2021. Okay. Let's see. Transactions. We have the one here. I have it highlighted. I have Bob highlighted. I can say receive payments. There's a couple ways you can do this. We're going to say Bob pays in full and he pays on Monday, the 3rd. Maybe he gave a check. Where does this payment go? I'll show you. It's going to a place called undeposited funds. Save and close. Sally, click the invoice, receive the payment. Now Sally's is 1,800, but let's say she's arguing with you about something and she gave you 1,700. It's saying she underpaid by $100. So that'll say, leave it that Sally still owes you. Okay, so let's say on that January 3rd, that's the only 2 people that paid. So Bob shows $0, Sally shows 100. So now we go up here to banking, make deposit. Look, it pops up the 2 check payments you got. You're gonna choose them. And let's say though, you don't go to the bank till the 5th. So you could still post it on the 3rd. I'm fine with that, except I get crazy about watching for deposits to clear. But let's say you had these checks in your drawer and you go on the 5th. You could even write up here, Bob Smith and Sally Pringle. Okay, save and close. And you would just keep doing this as they paid. But if you go list chart of accounts, there is no money in your undeposited funds because that's that thing where those checks were until you held them. Okay, and here's your $3,200. All right, so now let me just show you how to write a check for taxes so you can see what that has to do with. Go to Vendor Center. I just click New Vendor. Receiver of taxes. Okay. So I'm not going to enter a pay bill. I think if you're a brand new QuickBooks user and your cash basis for your taxes, don't do bills. It's too hard. Okay. So Control W makes you write a check. And there's other ways to do it. I think like if you went home, you could click right here, write checks. So the home screen's a good place to be because you can kind of like, look, you can click receive payments, pick your customer. Maybe Jane finally paid. And escape is your friend. I love it. I always use escape. Okay. Write checks, receiver of taxes. We're going to write it right now. We're going to hand write it. Check 136. I know you guys are laughing at 10,000. I'm sure your property taxes are much more. Okay, we'll say January, usually pay town and county. And this is where you would pick which building you did. So then we wouldn't pick the unit, but I don't usually like picking a parent. So I think I'll click one more. And I'll just say building 1, entire building. Because otherwise it says class other. Okay. Uh-oh. All right, and look, it went negative. So another question I get asked a lot, what if I give my LLC money? What do I do? See this right here? It says members draw, members equity. Let's say you gave your LLC $10,000. We're gonna go up here, make a deposit. We'll say you made this end of the year. We'll call yourself the owner. I don't really like other names. I don't know why I did that. Don't do that. You should make yourself a vendor. Because you can't search other, so don't do that. Okay. Equity, members equity. Loan to LLC. 10,000. Now, if we go back here to Chase checking, we see we started with 10, we got 3,200, and then we paid 10,000. Okay. So let's just run on cash for the end of the month. We had 2 people pay. $22, $131, $22. You're going to run it on cash to see what actually happened, not what you billed. Oh, shoot. Why is it doing that? Okay. And make sure it says cash. QuickBooks loves. Let me just show you one other thing. Over here, you click Edit Preferences. Accounting. Maybe it's only in QuickBooks Online. Online, you can do cash or accrual as your favorite. Okay, cash. So here we see you had the 2, and then you had this. But if you could also company and financial profit and loss by class goes, look how it went back to accrual. So hit cash, then do 1-1. Okay, and we're in cash basis. So we know we only had 2 units. And then this piece, the 10,000, I didn't break between the 2. Let me show you something else you could do though. Let's say you know, like basically this much is for this building and this much is for the other building. We could split it. Say one building's a little more. So then maybe we change it to unit 1, unit 2, not say it's the entire building. I want you to see what these classes do. Okay, so now we were able to separate, so you could really track. Look on right now, because of the hit of the all those taxes in 1 month, you can see which one's doing worse. Okay, I think that's enough to get you started. I will continue with this QuickBooks Desktop file, and I'll make a next video on how to do a bank rec. And please put in the comments any other things. I can also put in here your beginning balances you'll need to put in here for your assets, such as your building, how much if you have a loan. We can do that on the next video. All right, thanks for watching.